Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now October 4th of 2023, and as we all know, Disney has been going through a very tough time throughout all of this year, not just because of the Disney stocks, the ongoing box office failures, but let's not also forget about everything happening with the merchandise, the Disney parks, and a lot more than we could already expect. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. And one thing about Kathleen Kennedy has been going on behind closed doors that has been quite devastating for Disney and Lucasfilm combined. Now, I don't know if you guys checked out the latest Ahsoka episode, the finale, episode 8. To be honest, guys, I was very let down over this episode. I will be very direct with you all. I really felt that they had a lot of missed opportunities here. There were some things in there that really made absolutely no sense. I'll be talking about the specifics down the road. But what's even all the more unveiling has a lot to do with a series of complications between Kathleen Kennedy and Jon Favreau and Disney at the top. Now, one thing about Favreau is that we know that there's been a lot of creative differences between himself and Kathleen Kennedy behind closed doors on multiple projects. We also know that Dave Filoni has been quite crammed in the middle of these constant back and forths between Favreau and Kathleen Kennedy. Now, we know that Star Wars is suffering. We know that after Ahsoka, you're not going to have anything until the Skeleton Crew show, which is another Kathleen Kennedy-driven project, much like the Acolyte series. So those two are heavy Kathleen Kennedy productions. Now, what makes matters even worse is that with Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy attempting to course-correct Star Wars in the most pathetic way possible, she recently had something crucial to deliver to the public that falls in line with previous leaks. Kennedy stated the following: "As always, we look to examine both our film slate and series of shows on a whiteboard to really get an idea of how they all tie together timeline-wise. And of course, along that path, we make adjustments, creatively, of course, and on other spectrums. We have been honored to include both Jon and Dave in order to complete our vision. Sometimes you have to make harsh decisions in that process, and we felt it was best to remove Mr. Favreau from a series of our films and shows as a writer, director, and/or producer, so that we can adapt and create a wider roster of creators to test the waters with different takes and formats on this ever-evolving franchise. Our goal now is to make Filoni's movie a one-man show. As we love the vision that he created with Ahsoka, we didn't really feel a need anymore after Ahsoka to have Jon as a co-writer, and we felt it was necessary as a move to remove him from that film. We are taking steps, big steps, to ensure our success with this franchise, and we feel Dave Filoni is a great gateway to possibilities, but we don't want to just rely on one creator." Now, let me just say one thing about what Kennedy's saying before she gets to the next big thing here, is that this is working directly in line with what we talked about months ago, about how Disney was trying to remove Favreau from multiple projects. In fact, they are kickstarting their Lion King universe. We talked about this. They are going to be turning that into a cinematic universe. As crazy as it may seem, it is happening. They have a Mufasa prequel coming out. They're planning a Scar prequel and a Lion King 2 to the 2019 movie. Now, Favreau was supposed to be a part of all of those films for the most part. Now he no longer is. And that had a lot to do with him going up against Disney about the creative elements and choices that they were going for and what they were actually pursuing. And now it's all falling apart for himself as a creator. Now, this also includes Star Wars, seemingly, as Kathleen Kennedy is confirming this. There's quite a number of projects that he's being let go from. The specifics of that she does not really entail, except for Dave Filoni's movie. Does this include The Mandalorian Season 4? That is something that I really am interested in, because we know that they have been having a lot of conversations, by the way, of turning Mando Season 4 into a full-fledged movie to kind of end the series once and for all and kind of conclude everything there. Whether or not that film, if it does end up turning into a film, debuts in theaters or is a Disney Plus exclusive, who knows? But this is still in conversation right now. They're still trying to create concrete plans about that. Now, moving onwards, this is where things I feel get more serious for Jon Favreau's situation, alright? So, she goes on to unveil further, we felt it was time to expand. What does this mean for The Mandalorian? With Favreau, that is something I cannot comment on at this time. But rest assured, we are finding ways to create more content with lower spending habits for our productions. So in other words, she's saying, we're finding ways to make these shows cheaper, but making more Star Wars material to pump that out. And you know what? I believe in quality over quantity when it comes to these movies or these shows. That's exactly where it's going to begin to suffer. If they feel they can just give everybody a spin-off or everyone a little side story, it's going to come across as very clunky and out of context with the story. It's not going to really be good. And we already know that The Acolyte is not getting good traction at all, for starters, based on the trailer leak that actually has gotten out there finally from Star Wars Celebration. For those of you that did not see it, it should be out there somewhere. But moving to the next big thing here, we know that Kathleen Kennedy is an individual that is trying to really focus on Dave Filoni right now. She wants Filoni because Filoni, in a very odd way, really is just accepting whatever Kennedy insists him to do. So, further, this also lines up with Disney slowly phasing out Jon Favreau after he did indeed have disagreements and creative differences with Kathy on set many times for Mando Season 3, while Filoni, of course, accepted Kennedy's vision for everything. Now, here's the problem. We know that there's a lot of people out there that have a huge mixed reaction on the finale of Ahsoka. I'm not going to go into spoilers, so don't worry about that, but I will say there were a lot of missed opportunities and a lot of questions left unanswered for the finale of Ahsoka that's not going to be answered until Dave Filoni's movie, alright? And if that movie even gets made, who knows? You know, we have seen this constant trend of Lucasfilm and Disney announcing projects, then canceling them. We already know that Bob Iger, and we talked about this, is already slashing a lot of unannounced Star Wars movies that were supposed to be announced by this November during their last earnings call. That is now no longer happening. He's not going to be making those said announcements because there's a lot of cancellations. And by the way, we will be covering the specifics about that because there's a lot of shocking things about that work hand in hand with the whole Kennedy drama behind the scenes with Leslie Headland, the showrunner of The Acolyte. Now look, it is quite sad what the state of Star Wars is in right now. It almost is pretty much unfixable if they really can't get their head on straight. You know, say what you will about Ahsoka, love it or hate it. You know, I think that you're not going to have a good 2024. The Acolyte is deemed to fail. We know that Andor Season 2 may very well be the only satisfaction for some fans out there. I myself was never a huge fan of Andor, just to be clear, but they had a lot of opportunities that they missed, to sum it all up. So I would like to hear what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No, I'm not the one from night to moon.